Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, students. I hope all of you must be fine and in a good health as well. Right, as in our last lecture we discussed, and then there were none by Augusta Christie. Right, today I promise that I'm going to discuss the plot of it, but I would like to summarize my previous lecture. As I told you in my lecture, and then there were none is a mystery novel written by Augusta Christie, and it is one of the best, most difficult books ever written by a writer. It's a mystery novel. It was first published in United Kingdom, and the title was Ten Little Niggers. And then it is in the next public edition. The title was changed, and it is known as right. We all know that there was none, and keep one thing in your mind. This book is world's best selling mystery book. Over 100 million copies sold in one of the best selling books. It is publication is sixth best selling title it is regarded. Today I have to discuss the plot. Plot is one of the most important thing which a writer write, and the plot of this mystery novel is very interesting. I'm going to tell you what is there in the plot. Actually, the novel started on 8th August, late 1930s. Eight people arrive on a small island, and that island is isolated from England. Each has an invitation. Everyone got an invitation, such as and in that invitation such as an offer of employment and unexpected late summer holidays. In that invitation it was mentioned that you will get an unexpected holidays and job and unemployment offer as well there was. And they all met Thomas and Ethel Rogers, right? And both they one is butler, and the a second one is cook and housekeeper actually, right? Who states their host, Mr. Owen and Mrs. Owen. Right, they whom they have not met yet in person because they have not arrived yet. So what they have to do, they have to wait. All eight people have to wait for their host, right? Things are very much clear. Again, I'm repeating: eight people arrived on an isolated island, and who invited them? Mr. Owen and Mrs. Owen invited them, but they were not there to receive them, so they have to meet. They meet. These eight people meet with Mr. Thompson and Ethel Roger. Thompson is a butler, and Ethel Roger is a cook and housekeeper as well. Now, as I told you that this novel was first published. The first title of this novel is Ten Little Niggers, right? But when the story, when the story starts, how they start, 10 little niggers, you can call them the 10 little Indians as well, because it is like that. Right after supper, means after after supper. Okay, I forgot one important point. Right, when they reached, when eight people reached, all the people all eight people got their guest room, right? And there was a dining table as well. And after supper, a record is played, and the recording accuses each visitor of having committed murder. Means there was a music or a recorder of a old time was playing, and in that it can be heard that all visitor or each visitor of having committed murder. And then they ask if any one of the accused wishes to offer a defense. Means they ask that is it true, or somebody wants to say anything in his defense. Then Anthony Martin and Philip Lambert admit the charge leveled against them. They said that yes, we committed a mistake, and both instances of irresponsible endangerment resulting death, they were in danger, and for their defense they did it. Then they discovered that none of them actually knows the Owens, right? While they were talking on a dining table, while they were talking, sitting on a dining table, they came to know that no one knows each other. and no one knows each other. No one knows even the host, Owens. And Justice, the character, as I told you, Justice Wargrave, concludes that the name UN Oven is a play of unknown. Means he said that instead of calling them Oven family, we should give the title to this play that the name should be unknown. Marston finished his drink, immediately died. You know, Marston, one of the character, one of the eight people, right, and he died immediately after having the drink, right. So, Dr. Armstrong confirms that there is no, that Mr. Marston has is no more. And somebody was saying that the drink he took was poisoned, and somebody says that now he committed a suicide. In the next morning, Mrs. Rogers found people found Mrs. Rogers dead in her bed. She died in her sleep, and still the reason they don't know the cause. Still they don't know what happened to her. But some of the cases suspect her husband of poisoning her. But few people says that Mr. Roger poisoned her. Why he poisoned her? Because he feared that she would confess the crime they had charged with what crime they will confirm. They will try to say that she will accept that yes, he was there in the suicide of Mr. Martin. So and she will say that yes, the drink which was served to Mr. Marston was poisoned. Okay, right. Now again, two deaths. Still the reason is unknown. Nobody knows that what is the reason. By the lunchtime now, General MacArthur is found dead. Again death, another death. He was found dead. Heavy blow to his head. Three are dead. Right? Now the guests begin to suspect that Mr. Ovens is systematically murdering them. All the remaining people thought that it is Owens and you and Owen who are systematically murder them. A search for Owen turns up no result. They try to search that where Mr. Owen is he there in the on this island, but he was not there. The island, why? Because the island is bare rock with no hiding places. There was no hiding place, and no one could arrive or left. Thus, they conclude that one of the seventh, there were one of the seventh remaining. I'm using the word one of the seventh remaining persons is a killer. Means one of them is a killer. Who are left seven. Wargrave, as I told you in my last lecture, he got potential to lead the people. He leads a group in determining that so far none of them can definitely be ruled out as a murderer. He said that anyone from us can't say maybe I am the murderer, so we can't rule out. He can't. The next morning, now Rogers is found dead while chopping wood. While he was chopping the wood, who is Roger? Roger is the one who is the housekeeper. Now he found he was again chopping the wood. While he was chopping the wood, we found him dead. After the breakfast, Emily Brent is found dead in the kitchen. Now Emily is also dead, right, where she had been left alone after complaining to feel of feeling unwell. Although she complained earlier that she is not well, but when she went to the kitchen, shortly she people found her that she is no more. She had been injecting the potassium via, she was injecting something, and so she died. Now Wargrave, the leader, suggests searching all the rooms, that they should search all the rooms, and any potentially dangerous items are locked up. He wants to say that something dangerous, something silly, something fishy is there. Lambert's gun is missing from his room. Now again a mystery. Who took that gun? When Vera goes upstairs to take bath, she is shocked by the touch and smell of sweet left hanging from the ceiling of her room and scream again. The remaining guests rush upstairs to her room, and Wargrave is still downstairs. He's downstairs. Others find him seated, immobile, and crudely dressed, in an attire of a judge. He was wearing a judge dress. Wargrave is examined by Armstrong, Dr. Armstrong, and pronounced dead from a gunshot to the forehead. Means, in a panic, in an anxiety, he shoot himself. Again, the leader. That night, Lambert finds his gun returned to his room. Again, the gun was there in his room. Henry Bloor catches a glimpse of someone leaving the house but loses the trail. Only Armstrong is absent from his room, means Armstrong is not there. Vera, Bloor, and Lambert decided to stay together all the time. They said that they're not going to stay in their own room, they will stay together. In the morning, in the morning, they signal SOS to mainland from outside by using mirror and sunlight, but receive no reply. They didn't receive. Blow returns to the house for food by himself and is killed by a heavy bear chap shaped clock statue. Again, Vera's widow Silly crushed his skull, since neither of them were near to the house when the death occurred. Nobody know who. Vera and Lambert conclude that Armstrong is the killer. Now everybody is a suspect. Everyone is saying that you are a killer, you are a killer, he's a killer, you are a killer, right? Vera and Lambert come upon Armstrong's body washed up on the beach. Each concluded the other must be the killer. Again, they were thinking, they were all were suspect, all were saying that you killed him or her. Veera suggests moving the doctor's body past the shore as a gesture of respect for the dead. But this is a pretext. Pretext, they were not when the while they were moving the body. She lifts Lambert's gun. When Lambert lunges at her, get it back, she shoots him dead. He thought that she thought that Lambert might kill him. So when he tried to get his gun back, so she shoots him. She returns to the house in a shaken, dream-like state. She was in a chaos. She was in anxiety, relieved to be alive, and but he was saying thanks that she is still alive. Right? She finds a nose and a chair arranged in her room, and a strong smell of the sea. Pressed by the guilt over the crime she is accused of. Obviously, she committed a crime. She shot somebody, she killed somebody, she murdered somebody, and there was a sense of guilt that was, that was causing, that was disturbing her all the time, causing the drowning of a boy in her charge because she hangs herself in accordance with the last words of the rhyme. There was a letter, as I told you in my last lecture, that when everybody went to their rooms, they received a letter, and everything was happening according to that letter. Something was written on that letter. The letter was hanging on the wall, and everything was happening according to the plan, and so that's why she hangs herself in accordance with the last words of the rhyme. Scotland Yard officials are puzzled at who could have killed the 10. They don't know that who killed. They reconstruct the deaths from Marston to Wargrave with the help of the victims' diaries. They try to find out that who killed them. Since a lot of cleaning, lot of work was done, no, nothing of the sort is there. No answer was there, and in the last I would say that all were worried that what happened. It was a pitiful, it's a mystery. The novel is full of mystery, guilt, sense of guilt is there. And Augusta Christie created mystery which remains throughout the novel, and nobody is in a position to answer that who killed them and how they were being murdered. Now I would like to discuss, this is the plot of the story, plot of and when there were then there were none. So in a short, we can say that it's a thrilling murder mystery written by Augusta Christie, right? And when 10 people are invited to Soldier Island by a mysterious character, Ewan Owen, the guests find themselves in a dangerous situation. Obviously, all were in a dangerous situation. The guests were, as they watch each other, got picked off one by one, according to an old nursery rhyme. As I told you that it was there on the wall. Some a letter was hanging on the wall, and everything was happening according to the plan. Now here arises what was, and then when it was originated. As I told you that it was the 10 little Indians and 10 little Negroes. And how does, and then there were none end? How does the poem end? The alternate ending details the events of the book. All guests on the islands are killed by Wargrave except for the last two, Vera and Lambert. Vera then shoots Lambert, thinking him of a murder, and then hang herself. Right? This is how. On a doubt, 10 people invited Soldier Island, they all were dead, no doubt about it. As I told you that if I have to give a comment on this novel, and then there were none, is my opinion, it's in my opinion, it's a perfect length book. It's a perfect length for a simple murder mystery novel. 240 pages of this book, easy to read, direct they are, and easily keeps the reader engaged. And it's a perfect book for someone who is looking for a mentally stimulating yet quick read. You know, somebody who got is such sort of a mind that what is going on. It's a perfect book to read on. Now again, students, I am going to discuss briefly what happens. I am going to give you brief introduction of the characters who were invited there. In my last lecture, I told you earlier that and then there were none is written by Augusta Christie, and I told you that what's how many characters are there. Actually, where it is important, the setting of the novel is that it is in Iceland. Actually, the story takes place in 1930s on Indian Island, a small rocky island off the English coast, and it is cut off from the rest of the world. Means it's an isolated one. No one can come to that place, and it's all around. Water was all around that Iceland. And in the first chapter, what happens and who the characters are. In the first chapter, we come to know that 8 people are invited to stay in a luxurious house on the island. But who they are and who invited them and why they are. Who invited them? Mr. Owen invited them. And who they are, actually, they were on a business. For what they were invited, this is something interesting. To murder, right? First, we met with the secretary. The name of that secretary is my name is Vera Calethron, and she is new secretary to Mrs. Owen and the wife of Indian Iceland honor. Right? She is the secretary, and the second character which we come to know is in the first chapter is Mrs. Owen. uh, mm, uh, we don't know that where Mr. and Mrs. Owen is, but Mr. Anthony Marston, and friends invited me to the party here. Actually, they all were invited. All the 8 people are invited. That there is going to be a party. There is going to be a vacation, and they are going to get an unemployed, going to get a job over there. So the people in so the all these people came there. Now here arises a question. When they said that there is a party, then they asked, then they all were very surprised. They were saying to each other that you must be wrong, because Emily Brandt says that I'm invite that she was invited to stay here by her old friend, and they certainly won't have a party. She said no. Emily Blunt said that there is not going to be any party at all. Then here at that point, MacArthur, John MacArthur, says to the lady Emily Brent that he says that I am agree with you, Miss Brent, and my old friends invited me too, and they promised me a quiet stay. That they will provide that the host will provide a good stay. Then Lombard, he even don't care. He said that I don't care who invited me. I just like traveling, and Lambert said that my name is Philip Lambert. Right? He said that whosoever invited me, I damn care, but I am here to enjoy because I love traveling. Right? William Bloor. He says that I am a detective person. He says to everyone that you must be joking. I came here because some people paid me. I came here to detect something. I have a purpose. I'm here, right? Now, Lawrence Wargrave. He's a policeman. He's an interesting person, interesting, and just retired from his job. So that's why he says that I am here. Now, next character is again um, uh, William Armstrong, Dr. William Armstrong, and he says that I am a watchover of Mrs. Irwin's health. He says that I'm here to look after Mrs. Irwin's health. Now, this was all about chapter number one, and chapter number two is the plot of chapter number two is the story begins. Now, after the introduction, the story begins. When these eight guests come to the Indian island, they were greeted by Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, as I told you, the butler and the housekeeper. But where was the host? There was no host. Mr. and Mrs. Owen were not available there, right? And uh, they were not here. The butler and the housekeeper told them that your host will arrive tomorrow. He says that you have to wait for your host. So now the people, the maid said to the people that you all of you please make yourself at home, and all your rooms are prepared, and soon dinner will be served. Now we come to know that guests did not know each other and did not know who Mr. and Mrs. Owens were, and they all were felt surprised but decided to stay for dinner and spend the night on the island. They said, "Okay, what's the big deal? When we are here, we saw somebody invited us, and if the host is not available, so what's the big deal? We should wait. We should have something. We should eat something, and we should stay at night." Now they went upstairs to their rooms, and each room, what they found in each room, they found in each room 10 little Indians. A poem, a letter, which was hanging on the wall of each room, and what was written in that? 10 little Indian boys went out to dine. One choked his little shelf, and then there were nine. Nine little Indian boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were eight. Eight little Indian boys travelling in Devon. One said he had stayed there, and then there were seven. Seven in Indian boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there were six. This was written on the wall, and it was hanging on every wall of the room. So they all were very surprised, and everything happened according to this letter, this plan. They unpacked and went downstairs for the room. Means they just relaxed themselves. They just changed their clothes and went back to the dining table. and they were very surprised on the dining room table. Why they were surprised? Because they saw what they saw, that they that a different statue is on the table, and the statues were on and 10 in number. There were 10 statues in one. And after excellent dinner, they were wondering that why they have been invited on this island, and suddenly then they heard a voice coming out of the blue. Means they heard a voice when they were talking after the dinner. They heard a voice, and what they heard, and accusing each of them of a murder committed in the past and never uncovered. When they were talking to each other, they heard of a murder. They heard a voice, and they said that someone has murdered. Right now, chapter 3, you will come to know the murders. So many murders. In chapter 4, the suspicion, they all were saying that you killed. And in chapter 5, the truth will come out, and that's it. This will be the end of the story. Then there will none. Students, as I told you, that it is one of the best novel written by Augusta Christie. Murdered mystery it is. And what you can say, that I told you, I have introduced you the characters as well, the story as well. Now the themes are the administration of justice, and the other is the effects of guilt on one's conscious. Mean everybody, and the symbols have been used. The storm has been used as a symbol. The mark on Judge Wargrave forehead has been used as a symbol. Then food is used as a symbol, and then there is a motive as well. The 10 little Indian poem is used as a motive. Dreams and hallucination were also there. So these are the motives and symbols of the poem. And if I have to summarize my today's lecture, students, it's a journey, right? Eight people invited and eight visitors coming out, and one by one nursery rhyme. And after murder, everybody started to watch each other quickly. Everybody, they said that you are a suspect, you are a suspect, you killed somebody. In the last, the rhyme says, oh, one little. What in the last line of the rhymes are, as I told you, that 10 people died on the island is complete a mystery, and people didn't and the police don't was unable to recognize that who is a killer, because they thought that killer is so clever that he left no evidence behind it. And in the last rhyme, what was written, and which was hanging on the wall, one little Indian boy left all alone. He went out and hanged himself, and then there were none. So this is the end of the novel. So if you have any question, if you have any query, if you want to ask anything regarding this novel, you can ask anytime. You are always welcome. And the poem is, as I told you, that you can watch the movie. The movie is available on the net. I told you to share. We have shared the link of the movie with you lot, so that it will be convenient for you to watch the movie to understand each and everything. So students, nothing is left from about this novel. Still, I'm asking a question. If you have any question, you can ask from me. If you want to ask anything regarding this, so I'm here to assist you, I'm here to guide you. Take care of yourself and stay safe and stay home, and please focus on your studies. It's very important. This is what you can do for your country, this is what you can do for your parents as well. And take care of your parents as well, and your grandparents. And God bless you. See you inshallah soon. Thank you. Take care. God bless you. Allah Hafiz.